The ocean spirit dances today to abundance and joy and to eternal peace.
See, this is what we're hoping for. This is part of our hope. Not only that we are members of the elect, with fruits meet for repentance, like John the Baptist said, but from our low estate, because we've been brought low, even though we have this knowledge, we have this truth. Remember what it said in Revelation. I know thy works, tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. Why are we rich? Because we're rich in faith. We have this knowledge. So our hope is at our last end, we're going to be increased. Okay? And if you ask me, the greatest riches right now is to be delivered by Yahushua, is to get that new body that the Apostle Paul spoke about in 1 Corinthians 15th chapter, to get that, get that new body where we'll never be sick, we'll be immortals, like it said in 1 Corinthians 15, to be delivered from the coming destruction, and to be a part of Yahushua's cabinet in the next kingdom. Okay, those are the real riches right now. That's what we want to get. Because if you get that, you got everything. I mean, you got everything. Okay, so our sights are set a lot higher than this present world. All right, as it is written, the fashion of this world shall pass away. We are individuals of vision, and the scripture said where an individual lacks vision, he perishes. Okay, so we can see the future. All right, and we hope that we're going to be part of it, beginning with the elect.
This entire universe belongs to you, my son.
And we're going to fully have power over the elements. The way we're going to build things, the ingenuity, the creativity. All right? Being able to build with the vibration of sound, being able to move boulders with our mind, the kingdom will be far out, man. Our water systems, our irrigation systems, clean water, clean air, can only imagine it, man. But it's not a fantasy, it's going to be a reality. But such a massive reality that it's going to be surreal. Okay? This kingdom that's coming is going to be surreal, man. Okay? And the Heavenly Father's only doing this for his people, but he's doing it really to magnify his name. And he's going to put his name on us forever. Okay? We're going to be named after Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua forever. Okay? But it's going to be a manifest token that we are the people of the Heavenly Father. All right? Streets of gold. The foundation stones of the kingdom. Made of all manner of precious stones. It's all evidence that we are the people of the Heavenly Father. He hasn't done this for anyone else. Okay? And we'll be able to branch out into these different distant galaxies within the universe. Okay? We'll have some insight into the Father's house, which is the universe, which is unlimited. We're gonna have unlimited access to the Heavenly Father's house. All right? And you can't limit the Heavenly Father. You hope for elect out there, you'll have access to the chariots. You'll have access to these different planets within these galaxies, within the universe. Or maybe Yahweh through Yahushua, finds you so well pleasing that he decides to give you your own galaxy. Once again, you can't limit Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, man. Okay? Everything within our kingdom is going to raise your vibration, raise your spirit. Okay? That's the kingdom that we're looking forward to, man. Constant building, constant healing, constant praising Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. So with that, I want to give all praises to our power, our Father, Allah, to our elder apostles and elder bishops, the great millstone, still well. Peace and blessed house, stay with the elect. Stay strong, Yasharala, we almost home. Shalom.
All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to our young brothers, and peace and blessings and salutation to the hopeful elect out there pushing his word and truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, Rakakwadash, pushing to get up out of there. Shalom to the hopeful elect, the believers, the listeners who have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right, another morning news and prophecy. All right, Kingdom of Fools, Civil Unrest, Prelude, and more. There's always a lot going on, a lot to talk about, and the Lord will, we continue, all right, to be those watchmen on Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, has called us to be. Matter of fact, let's just get some watchmen scriptures, just to be in the spirit. Look at Matthew 26 and 41, Ezekiel 3 and 17, Bob Bashar. All right. And as I see you brothers, have precepts. So let's tap into that. As you brothers get that, just the brother you call Hopeful 144. Sirach 10 to 1, it says a wise judge will instruct his people, and the government of a prudent man is well ordered. And that's beautiful, because the video I got shows you how, the devil, because he's trying to be crafty, he's doing wickedness, so he has to be deceptive, he has to try to move in a certain way, and it's causing him to move very foolish, man, and Esau's government is not well ordered, it's been an organized shit show, and what's happening, all right, the shit show is starting to, all right, overflow the organization. You see, this organized chaos, that this man calls an empire. Well, the chaos, which he causes chaos to bring order. But what's happening, this chaos is going to get out of hand from this nigga, man. He's still going to be able to pull off particular things because he has to go so far within this agenda according to prophecy, man. Okay, but what's happening, this chaos is going to go beyond what he can manage and control. Okay. And he has done so much wickedness and he got so many things going on, so much confusion out there, man, that it's going to overwhelm this devil, all these things that he has going on. Okay. And what he's trying to do, he has a lot to do. He doesn't have the power, okay, the ability to do it. He doesn't have the time to do it. Okay. So we're going to see this devil, move more and more frantic, in these latter days. Now let's jump down here. See the brothers get there. Yep. This is the brother Yashamah tribe of Judah. Ezekiel 3 and 16 says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word in my mouth and give them warning from me. So the Lord has raised up a ministry of watchmen, to constantly give our people warning about what's to come and where we at as far as prophecy, man. Okay, and we know the main thing that we're looking for now is all hell to break loose in America, man. Okay, a time of civil unrest, poly crisis, Jacob's trouble, okay, famine, This is what we're on the watch for, because the war is already in motion. The war going to do what it do. We know what that war is going to escalate to. Okay, so now it's a thing of what we're watching for is the crisis that's going to come to America. Okay, so these devils, they have to go. They move, and you can tell these devils feel that they've stepped into something. Okay, that's above them. Okay, but the Lord's going to harden his spirit, just like he did Pharaoh, to do it anyway. Okay, I'm going anyway. The famous line from Boys in the Hood. You know, one of the dope boys said, "I'm going to the store." And he told him, "Well, you ain't got no money." The dope boy said, "I'm going anyway." All right, and how did that end up? Okay, back in the police car, man. Okay, well, it's going to end up, with Esau, what he's doing, going forward with his agenda. It's going to end up with him in chains. Just like they put the dope boy in the back of the police car. All right, he went up there stealing. Well, Esau, his attempt to try to steal existence from the Most High, to try to steal creation from the Most High, he's going to end up in chains, man. Okay, and these are the things that we're watching for, man. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 26, and verse 41. It says, "Watch and pray." This is the brother servants of Yahushua 144. It says, "Watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." Yo, this flesh is weak, man. The spirit, you see, and that's why we have to be in the spirit in these times, because the spirit sees beyond Babylon. You see, the flesh is only concerned about the moment, right now. Okay, and comfort. You see, the spirit is willing, okay, to go through the straight gate, to go without, okay, to get to the reward promised, by Yahweh, by Shemal Shah. The flesh is weak, okay, and Esau keeps people operating in the flesh, and that gives him the leverage over the masses, man. That's why he's going to bring what? Desperation, okay, to America, and people are going to bend the knee, all right, because of the flesh. Well, you operate in the spirit, and the spirit is a different frequency, man. You see, and this is what we're required, to be in the spirit in these last days, man. And knowing there's a higher power that's going to intervene, man. Knowing that our power said we weren't going to starve, we weren't going to go without, we wasn't, all right, going to be through out here, man. Okay, so it says watch and pray. So we're watching and we're praying for the end. We pray, that the Lord judges Esau, destroys America. And as we're praying, the moves are being made to do that. Okay? Because you look at geopolitically, America, is making itself a target for every nuclear capable nation on the planet Earth. When you look at what's happening in real time, America is making itself a target for every nuclear capable nation on the planet. Okay? Which all plays into prophecy about everyone that been at the boat. Put yourself in array against Babylon, man. Okay? So as we're praying, as we're watching and praying, man, the Lord's making moves, man. Prayers are being heard. Hey, the prayers of the righteous availeth much. Okay? But this is the brother Yashima, tribe of Judah. Isaiah 62:6. "I have set watchmen upon our walls, O Jerusalem." So it's the Lord that appointed watchmen on the walls of Jerusalem. Okay? And Jerusalem is a people before it's a place. Okay, so we're able to have, through the Holy Spirit, we have this vantage point to where we can look out. Prophecy means to see before, so we're able to look out and see what's happening in the world, and be able to filter it through prophecy and give a report, all right, to the church, man, to the believers. Okay, it says, "O Jerusalem, which shall never hold their peace day nor night. Ye that make mention of the Lord, keep not silent, and give him no rest till he establish, until he make Jerusalem a praise in the earth," man. And we know before Jerusalem becomes a praise in the earth, this kingdom has to fall, man. Okay? This kingdom, all right, these current rulers, Esau, Edom, along with these other heathens, have to be subdued, man. Okay? And we're seeing the events that's leading to that. Okay? Now, I want to go here real quick and then go into the video, the first video we got. But let's go here real quick. Isaiah 19 and 11. in the NLT. Okay, now when you read this, because just as the Lord, allowed Esau to tap into, certain left hand wisdom and magic and, technology, when it was time for this devil to thrive, in his kingdom. Okay, but now that we're coming into the time for the devil, all right, to fall, okay, the Lord is making this devil a damn fool. All right, we're seeing Esau turn back into a caveman. And that's why the elites, that plays a part in knowing that they have a short time, man. This nigga know that he can't keep going like this. He got to make some drastic changes, okay, to attempt to pull off this New World Order agenda. You see, you think this nigga don't know that he's slipping, man. You see, and the Lord is making this man look like a complete ass out here, man. And it's going to get worse. All right, and it's going to cause the devil to get impulsive, violent. Okay, and this is what we're going to start seeing, just the mandates. Okay, the chaos and these mandates, man. Okay, this Isaiah 19:11 said, "What fools are the officials of Zoan? Their best counsel to the king of Egypt is stupid and wrong." Now, Zoan is like the modern day Washington D.C. Zoan was like the D.C. of ancient Egypt. Okay, the place where counsel and decisions were made. Okay, the wise men, the magi's, left hand priesthood. Okay, and they will make decisions. Okay, concerning Pharaoh. They will make decisions. They will gather intelligence and counsel, and they will give it to Pharaoh for Pharaoh to make decisions. Similar how the CIA and certain intelligence groups does for the president. Now we know there's an overlord to this whole government system. The elites. Okay, but we have to understand certain day-to-day functions of the government. Police don't micromanage every little thing that goes on. All right, they give an agenda. Okay, because the setup is the elites tell, all right, the president what they want. Okay, certain things, how to do it, but then there's certain things, that the president and his officials, okay, they have to execute on. At least not holding these niggas' hands, every hour of the day, telling them do this, do that. Okay, they have certain itineraries. Okay, certain big agendas, certain things, is done a certain way. But then there's things that like Trump and his officials, they have to make certain decisions on, man. Okay, and what's happening, man? The Lord has put a very foolish, dumb spirit, okay, on Esau, man. Okay, he says, will they boast to Pharaoh of their wisdom? Will they dare brag about their wise ancestors? Where are your wise counselors, Pharaoh? Let them tell you what the Most High plans, what the Lord of Heaven's army is going to do to Egypt. Yeah. And who's telling you, who's giving you the counsel of what the Lord is going to do? The prophets. In every empire we seen, because during back the time of ancient Pharaoh, well, there was things his counselors and his magicians couldn't tell him. He had to depend on Joseph. Okay, just as it was certain miracles, all right, during the time of Moses and Aaron, all right, that the magicians and the priesthood of Egypt couldn't duplicate. Okay, so the left hand only goes so far. It has and it's tapped out. It can only do so much. It can only be effective for so long. In the words of the beloved elder brother Quam, when he speaks about witchcraft, he makes the statement. He says it works till it doesn't. You see, yeah, the witchcraft is power to it, and it can be effective, but then it works till it doesn't. You see, so we're seeing Esau, the things that usually will work for the devil, okay, are beginning not to be as effective. Okay, it says verse 13 said the officials of Zoan are fools, and the officials of Memphis are deluded. The leaders of the people have led Egypt astray. Yeah, and America is done. They've led you Americans into the worst position that you can be in. First, they're leading you to the civil unrest. to bring order out of chaos, okay, and present the sea hip as, salvation, okay, as a fix all. And then they're leading you to be nuked by all these different countries, man. Ultimately, you see that your leaders are leading you to be nuked, okay, by all these different nuclear capable countries of the world, okay. So your leadership, your American leadership, okay, in these last days is setting the American population up for the biggest failure of any civilization, man. No civilization has ever been judged on this type of scale that the Lord's getting ready to judge America, man. Okay, and your leaders have ran you to this judgment, man. They're running you to this judgment. Okay, verse 14 said the Lord has sent a spirit of foolishness on them, so all their suggestions are wrong. They cause Egypt to stagger, all right, like a drunk in his vomit, man. America is done, man. Okay, American citizens, the American military, the American economy. Okay, and these devils think they're going to revamp, a global, government, a global economy. No, that's going to be destroyed too. Okay, all that's going to be destroyed too. Your house shy is coming to clean the floor. All right, with you elites and you heathens, man. Okay, and America is going to be a memorial. Okay, of what happens to wickedness, man. You see, it says there is nothing Egypt can do. All are helpless, the head and the tail, the noble palm branch and the lowly reed, man. Yeah, so from the super rich to the day to day, the common America, man. Okay, it's gonna have to deal with the judgment of the Lord. Okay, everybody is subjugated to the Lord's judgment, man. The elites are not on the outside of their judgment. No, they're at the forefront. They're just being saved for last. Okay, verse 16 it says, "In that day the Egyptian will be as weak as women; they will cower in fear beneath the upraised fists of the Lord of heaven's armies, man." So the Lord's gonna break this place down, man. America's gonna, all right, experience judgment like no other civilization has experienced in history, man. The scriptures say this is going to be the worst time ever since the earth was. And a lot of that is talking about what's going to happen in America, man. Leading all the way up to the nuclear destruction, man. Okay? So yeah, the Lord's going to break all this American pride. All right, the Lord's going to break the pride of the elites. Okay? Down to the common American, man. Just like in ancient Israel, the Lord, judged from Pharaoh all the way down, all right, to the working class of Egypt. And it's gonna be no different in this time, man. Okay? Every social class gonna have to deal with the judgment of Yahweh Bashim al Shah. Okay, now what I want to do, I want to segue here. So this woman here, she said she left the CIA in May, which was what's that, about 4 months ago? 3-4 months ago. But she was inside the decision loops, okay, of the White House. I said, of course, the big agendas come from up top. The agenda of the elites. But there are certain day-to-day agendas and certain decision making, okay, that's done, in house. Okay, and we're going to see how these devils, because they're going forward with their agenda, they're cutting a lot of people off, from what's the happiness of what's going on. Okay, and they're closing the ranks, they're closing the loops, all right, the information loops, and keeping it real small as they go forward with this new world order. But it's causing certain flaws within decision making, man. Okay, but they're not flaws, it's the will of the Lord. If a brother go ahead and post it, what's that, Proverbs 24:20, all right, Jeremiah 10:23, because it's the Lord that's driving prophecy. Proverbs 21:1. Let's get those precepts up. But let's play this, and Yeah, let's play this.
Exactly, it is broken in your view, and how did that happen?
Yeah, so I don't want to say that this administration is unique in its attempt to politicize intelligence. It's certainly not unprecedented, but it certainly has reached a truly unprecedented level, at least in my lifetime. So I would put it bluntly that intelligence is only useful if it tells the policymaker what they need to know, not just what they want to hear. And unfortunately, this administration, since the moment it took office, has been waging an assault upon its own input into check and into fear. And from its first days, it engaged in a campaign of public firings, of calling out analysts by name if they provided information that disagreed with what the president had said in public. They fired senior officers who are widely respected within the community, people I've known personally for many years, who are some of our best. That simply has never happened, not in the decades since the modern intelligence community came into view. There have been many cases where policymakers have ignored information, and that is their right and their peril. But publicly retaliating against your own workforce as a way of crushing a deep state that is lying in wait is something that has truly been unprecedented and harmful. And it has led to a number of really dangerous effects. First, officers are very hesitant to put into words, into their review chain, anything that could get them fired. We all have a life, and we have families, we have mortgages that we have to pay, and it could only have a chilling effect on the workforce. And I think that is happening and real. And we can get to the policy consequences that we've already observed in this administration in a second. But the bottom line is that without this kind of objective analysis, the United States is going to blunder into foreign policy crises and mistakes that were foreseeable and have been foreseen. And I think that Exhibit A of this has been the Iran war, where whether it was in war games or in public testimony of our leaders, the things that have gone wrong in this conflict, whether we're talking about the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, or the fact that when the U.S. killed the supreme leader in an airstrike, there was another supreme leader waiting to take over. All of these things have been known for quite some time. And the fact that we blundered into this conflict tells me that policymakers simply didn't want to hear facts that did not accord with their preconceptions and their desires, or God help them, contradicted what the president said in public, which was that this would be an easy war, over in days, over in weeks, and that there would be unconditional surrender on the Iranian side. And so it's been a real disaster for the United States and our allies that the very institutions that helps us avoid these kinds of mistakes have been attacked and marginalized within our system.
Yeah, so, and going back, it's the will of the Lord. You see? So you have it now to where, Trump has the White House set up to where he's around what you call sycophants, and we'll get that, a sycophant. Or if a brother want to look up what a sycophant is, tell you how to spell it, put the definition up. Let me see. Thought I had it pulled up. It's a sycophant, a sycophant. Okay, that's what they used to call ass kissers and yes men. In the courts of ancient kings, they used to call them sycophants. Okay, when you just surround yourself with people that tell you what you want to hear. Okay, because the Trump has been tasked with an agenda by the elites, and the elites have been tasked with an agenda by the Most High. Okay, that's why you go here, as the brothers got it. This is a service of Yahweh Shah 144, Proverbs 21:1. It says, let's go here. Let's go here. Yeah. And then, brother, if you put in yes man and sycophant, it probably give you another definition. I know that's the literal origin of the definition, but if you put yes man, sycophant, what is a yes man sycophant? You know, it'll give you should give you another definition. But this is on the brother service of Yahweh Shah 144. And it says the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. Yeah, so the Lord has the spirit, on the elite to go forward with a particular agenda. Okay. And Trump know that he's been tasked, okay, with transitioning, all right, into a technocracy. Okay. So within there, there's certain things that the elites want. All right. And they don't want to hear this nigga say he can't do it. So when Trump gets intelligence from someone that says they can't do it, he just fire them niggas, man, and get someone in to say we can do it. Okay, regardless of, because they run, like I said, they knew they was gonna cold straight up from mud. They knew, they had another leader, all right, on standby. They knew, okay, they did the war games and how difficult it would be militarily with Iran. They knew these things, man. Okay, but no, the Lord has them hardened. Brother want to post that. Uh, what's that? Sirach 16 and 15. Okay, and it's the brother Yashima tribe of Judah says, "Oh Lord, I know that the way of man is not in himself. It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps." Yeah, man. So the Lord has, the least moving in a certain way and putting pressure under their underlings. Okay, their do boys, their flunkies to forge this agenda. They don't care how it get done. They just want it done. Okay, and what you're seeing is terrible strategy. All right, from Esau, man. Okay, that's why they're going into these things and the strategy like damn, the strategy not there. Because you look into how things going now, and you look at how organized, 2020 was. Okay, you look into how organized 2020 was, man. The whole C19 thing. All right, you see the C19 thing. It was way more organized. It was so much, global cooperation with this whole C19 thing. But this thing here, man, it looks like a blunder. You see, it's like it's thrown together. There was really no strategy, man. Okay, they had goals with no strategy. Okay, and that's why you look at it, it's like this nigga scrambling, man. But this plays into the Lord putting a foolish spirit on you, devil, because it's time for these niggas to fall, man. Okay, it's time Esau get his ass up out of here, man. Okay, yep, and the brother got the water, brother. So you go into a sycophant. It says a sycophant is a person who praises rich or powerful people too much. They do this to get a reward, a job, or special safety, man. And you look at guys like Pete Hegseth, okay, Mark Rubio, okay, Stephen Miller, okay, and these other guys, and they fought and they fired a lot of people out the military, the leadership out the military, all right, for not giving them, the answers that they want. They want nothing but yes, man. All they want to hear is we can do it. Okay, no matter how foolish it is, no matter how much intelligence says don't do this, how much logic says don't do this, it's a spirit on these devils to just go. Nigga, we don't want to hear we can't do that, nigga. We can do it now. You figure it out. Okay, that's the spirit, that's running in the White House, man. Okay, he's surrounded by sycophants, man. Yes, men. Okay. It says a yes man. Yep, it says a yes man is a person. It's a brother. GMFDC Times of Doc Yara 144. It says a yes man is a person who always agrees with their bosses, leader, or any person in charge. They do it. It said they do this to please their personal gain of reward, even if they have a different opinion, man. So that's like she said. She was like, look, It's to the point that these CIA analysis, analysts, it's to the point to where they can't even be honest in their briefing. They got to, fabricate the briefing and modify the briefing into something that the president want to hear, that the higher ups want to hear. Damn if it's doable or not. Damn if it's a bad idea or not. It's like they just got to format it into something that he want to hear. And it's beautiful, and that's the Lord doing all that, man. Because Esau's been setting up for failure. We're going to get an account in history to show you. Okay? They go into that. Now, this is the brother GMSDC Tazadakia, Yara I 144. It says, Sirach 16 and 15 said, the Lord hardened Pharaoh that he should not know him, that his powerful works might be known unto the world. So we're seeing the Lord harden the heart of these devils, no matter how foolish it is what they're doing, they're hardened to do it. Okay, because this is foolish. When you really look at what this nigga is trying to do, this is extremely foolish and stupid, man. Okay, this is a dumb idea from top to bottom. Give a damn if he can, splice genes and 3D print food. That's not impressive, man. That's stupid. Okay, there's already a system to do that. It was created in Genesis, the first chapter. You don't need to do all this shit. Okay, trying to get a man pregnant and all, like it's some great achievement. Is no, nigga, it's stupid. Okay, everything that this nigga is doing is stupid. You see, but the Lord got this nigga hard, man. To continue on and try to pull this off, man. Okay, now let's jump up a little bit and play a little bit more of this. Then we'll get that account. The water to you, brothers' precepts and definition. Let's jump up a little more. Say about right here.
Because that goes right to the heart of your question, of the people that are surrounding the president as they're making these decisions. So I happen to serve as a PDB briefer, which is the person who would deliver to the highest customer for the vice president in the first administration. And I was there, and this was the Trump administration, which had some of the same dynamics, but around those tables were rational, smart, well-educated folks who did want to hear the latest expertise from this vast apparatus that the United States, at great expense and risk, collects information to help it make the president inform his decisions. All of those people were very loyal to the president, to President Trump at the time.
And Baba Kashaf, a brother can put Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 13. And we can get the KJV and the NLT, Baba Kashaf. Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 13, Baba Kashaf.
There was not a problem of them not being on his side, but wisely they picked people who knew what they were doing and had a long history in national security, had traveled the world, had read widely, even people you wouldn't think so. They really did take the job seriously, and that is a real difference from this administration. And I'll get to that now. So at the beginning of the administration, I had been serving in the previous administration, the Biden administration, for about 20 months as a director for intelligence programs within the White House. Now, this is an assignment that is a nonpartisan assignment. You're a career detailee. There are people from the State Department, Defense Department, other parts of our government who are there and who are supposed to stay regardless of the turnover of administrations. I had served a Republican in the first term, and I was serving a Democratic President Biden, and I was going to continue on and serve the duly elected President Donald Trump in his second term. And it was totally normal and expected that we career detailees to the White House would stay. On the third day of this administration, they summoned most of the National Security Council staff and fired them over a phone call, dismissing them, sending them off the compound, asking me to stay. I had been the head of the intelligence directorate through the transition. And so almost immediately you saw the key people that we need to help make good decisions, the wiring that connects the White House with our departments and agencies, and this vast apparatus of the United States government just ripped out with no plan for their replacement. And we limped along for weeks and months at that
because they're closing the ranks, because they're keeping, a lot of information, in the closed loop. Okay, because it's pure wickedness what they're doing. You see, so information, them trying to them, trying to pull off this wickedness. All right, they have to keep certain information contained within certain circles. Okay, which it inhibits, the ability to make sound decision because you need intelligence and communication. Okay, so these devils just have their agenda. The elites have their agenda. Like saying they don't want to hear no. So Trump is in the spirit. He don't want to hear no. And then that's what they're trying to do overall. Everyone's not privy to the whole agenda. Okay, you still have people in these positions that think they're serving their country, they're serving the president. No, you're serving. It's about technocracy now. Okay, it ain't about wise decision. Okay, for the president, it's about agenda. All right, that the Lord got. All right, these devils on there because the Lord got these devils on the crash out mission, man. Esau on the crash out mission. Nigga, I don't need wise counsel, nigga. I'm finna crash. Okay, it's a spirit. All right, that the Lord got these devils in, man. Okay, nigga, I don't want to hear no good advice, nigga. We finna crash. Okay, just go. You see. So let's play a little more.
Point, they began hiring people that this administration brought in, and then in early April of last year, they were also fired. There was also that is when I was also purged, and in the process of doing that, it broke this interagency system that the National Security Council, at the president's behest, organizes to make sure that first the president is presented with all the best options and information that's available, and then in the implementation, that when the president makes a decision, it trickles down and is implemented. And so we saw repeatedly, whether in the military action in Venezuela, the first attack on Iran, and then the run up to the full Iran war that we've experienced this year, just catastrophic planning failures at every step, where things like the U.S. military, who are very the finest fighting force in the world, they can execute their task perfectly. But if they're not coordinated with the Department of State, you start seeing things like the United States not having an evacuation plan for 500,000 Americans who are stranded in the Middle East in a war that we started. And so that kind of planning failure can only happen when the right hand is not talking to the left hand. And it is inexcusable for the United States to operate in the world as the world's largest superpower, blundering about, not planning its actions. And we've seen the consequences again and again with our allies and partners not knowing what the United States is about to do, not being consulted before the conflict starts, and the United States blundering into major catastrophes for which they have to live with the consequences economically. And it really has, I think, damaged a lot of our relationships, not just because of what the president decided to do, which was a terrible idea, but how it was executed as well. And the National Security Council and that system is at the heart of that. And so I think that the administration has been its own worst enemy in a lot of these cases, just in how it has undermined its own ability to implement policy rationally and wisely, even if it wasn't a great policy to begin with. We've always had the ability to mitigate the worst of it by having real experts and consultations and people who have trained their lives to do these kinds of things.
Right, because
through, man. Ultimately, the Lord got, Esau set up for failure. Okay, as a whole, and whatever, like say the elites, they're thinking they're, got some type of crafty plan, this crafty master plan, but no, they're set up for failure, man. The Most High finna make Esau look like a goddamn fool. Okay, now this is the brother GMS Audubon Hawaii. All right, Ecclesiastes 4:13 and KJV says, "Better is a poor and wise child than an old and foolish king." All right, who will no more be admonished. Okay, and we're dealing with an old foolish king who will no more be admonished, which means take advice. All right, when you go here, Ecclesiastes 4:13, it says it is better to be a poor, all right, to be a poor but wise youth than an old and foolish king who refuses, okay, all advice, who refuses all advice, man. Okay, and in spirit, we're their wise and we're their wise, we're their poor and wise child, that's getting ready to be the next kings of the age to come with Yahweh. Okay, so in our lower state, we're learning true wisdom. You see, and we're witnessing an old foolish king who would not be admonished, who refuses advice, man. And that happened to us before. Okay, when you go to the split. All right, let's get this account. Okay, and I'll put the link of this in the description box, meaning the comment. So brothers want to tap into the rest of the interview. Pretty good, got some good information. Like I say, she recently left the CIA in May. So she got some pretty fresh intel on the inside. All right, but we know it's the will of the Lord, that's behind everything that we see happening. Okay, now let's go here to this is the book of First Kings chapter 12. Okay, now this was after the death, of King Solomon. And it was prophesied that the Lord was going to split, the kingdom of Israel into two, southern and northern kingdom. Okay, and what did the Lord do? He put a foolish spirit on Rehoboam. Okay, because why? It was time for a split. So just as we see it's time for Esau to fall, for America to be destroyed, as a foolish spirit on Esau, man. Okay. First Kings 12:1 said Rehoboam went to Shechem, where all Israel had gathered to make him king. When Jeroboam, son of Nebat, heard of this, he returned from Egypt, for he had fled to Egypt to escape from King Solomon. The leaders of Israel summoned him, and Jeroboam and the whole assembly of Israel went to speak with Rehoboam. Okay, so all the northern tribes, they rallied around, Jeroboam, was their leader. It says your father was a hard master, so they're going to petition, into Rehoboam. Okay, so they said lighten the harsh labor demands and heavy taxes that your father imposed on us. Then we will be your loyal subjects. Yeah, because towards the end of King Solomon's, reign, he went he went dark. He tapped into, he started to get weak into those idols of those heathen women. Okay, and he became dark towards the end. You see, and it says Rehoboam replied, "Give me 3 days to think this over, then come back for my answer." So the people went away. Then King Rehoboam discussed the matter with the older men who had counseled his father Solomon. "What is your advice?" he asked them. "How should I answer these people?" So the men that was counselors to King Solomon, which King Solomon, he was the wisest, man, to live. Okay, he was the wisest king to live, but even he still had wise counselors around him. Okay, so you had the council of King Solomon, okay, that was still around, for his son Rehoboam, and it says the older counselors replied, "If you are willing to be a servant to these people today and give them a favorable answer, they will always be your loyal subjects." So, because these were men that were there, they seen the good days of King Solomon, and they seen, the few bad towards the end, so they wanted, to return to, being fair to all the tribes. This was advice that they was given, Rehoboam, like, look, man, if you just be favorable towards these people, they'll be a subject forever. You won't have no complaints or nothing. It'd be back during the time of First Kings 4, First Kings chapter 4, verses 20 on down. You can read that. Okay. It said, but Rehoboam rejected the advice of the older men and instead asked the opinion of young men who had grown up with him and were now his advisor. Yeah, so these YNs, you call these YNs, man. You know, these young niggas that was raised with him. Okay, these sycophants. Okay, niggas with no experience, man. It says, so he asked them, what is your advice? He asked them, how should I answer these people, all right, who want me to lighten the burdens imposed by my father? The young men replied, this is what you should tell those complainers who want a lighter burden. My little finger is thicker than my father's waist. Yes, my father laid heavy burdens on you, but I'm going to make them even heavier. My father beat you with whips, but I will beat you with scorpions. 3 days later, Jeroboam and all the people returned to hear Rehoboam's decision, just as the king had ordered. So these young niggas, all right, these young, all right, fools, all right, these young sycophants, okay, you see, they advised, Rehoboam with terrible advice, man. Okay, but then he had wise counsel from, the elders. Okay, and what counsel, all right, did he choose? It said, but Rehoboam spoke harshly to the people, for he rejected the advice of the older counselors. Why? Because it was time for the kingdom to be split. So the Lord put a hardened spirit on Rehoboam to where he ejected the wise counsel from the elders and took the foolish counsel, all right, of those young men. It says, and followed the counsel of his younger advisors. He told the people, my father laid heavy burdens on you, but I am going to make them even heavier. My father beat you with whips, but I will beat you with scorpions, man. Okay? So this is what started, the strife between the northern and southern kingdom, was eventually led to a split, and then even certain civil wars amongst northern and southern kingdom, So just as, the Lord put a certain spirit on Rehoboam, he put a spirit on what Pharaoh, the Lord always does. He put a spirit on Nebuchadnezzar to be proud so he can humble him. You see? So at the end of the day, we're seeing the Lord putting a foolish spirit, okay, on Esau, because it's time for this nigga to fall, man. He's at his end. You see? So let's go from there. I want to get this to brother. I got two quick videos. So you got this going on, which let's go here. So let's play this. You got this guy, who goes on his rant about overthrowing the Trump administration. He think he's in the National Guard, or, whatever. All right, he's going on his rant. Now, is he set up, to cause division, or just, an authentic, rant? He's all over the place. But let's just play a little bit of this, man, because the seeds are being sown for civil unrest. Okay, because even if they declare a draft in America, man, it's gonna be uproars, man. But yeah, it's a lot of seeds of division that's being sown, racially, politically, all type of seeds of division are constantly being sown. We're just going to lead to unrest, man, when things get scarce around here. So let's play a little bit of this.
Message for last December, I encouraged you to give this new administration a chance. Time is up. Our government is compromised. Tyrants get promoted and patriots get punished. I am very concerned that we are on the brink
and snitches get stitches. All right. Anyway, I stopped it again.
Of losing our constitutional.
Let me start it again.
I have a message for the American people. Last December, I encouraged you to give this new administration a chance. Time is up. Our government is compromised. Tyrants get promoted and patriots get punished. I am very concerned that we are on the brink of losing our constitutional republic to tyranny.
Already happened.
We came extremely close during COVID, and it seems to me like everyone has already forgotten that it even happened.
They want you to.
There has been no rectification and absolutely no accountability.
What does my rectum have to do
with it? The only way that I see we the people taking back our country is a ground-up revolution. We must abandon the America
Sounds
First
like Jimmy
movement
Dore.
as well as both political parties. I am calling for the God First, Liberty Second movement to be born in the United States of America. This will take at least 8 to 12 years to accomplish. We must first take municipal seats, then county seats, then state seats, and then we will take back our federal government.
Yeah, that's how it works.
If the spirit of patriotism burns within you, you are called to the work. For many are called, but few are chosen. We need those who otherwise never would have gotten involved in politics to step up and serve. What would your qualifications be? I can't say, but I can share what the Lord personally impressed upon me.
Yes. So he's, and everybody trying to pull out precepts now. Okay. But yeah, you see he's in the spirit, like he's sowing seed for some type of uprise, okay, against the government. Okay.
To qualify for me to participate in his work, and maybe it will guide you in seeking your calling. Number 1, you must keep yourself above reproach. If you have any vices, you must abandon them. Pornography, any sexual sin, any addiction, unrighteous anger, and pride were a few that were impressed upon me. The enemy of all freedom will use anything you do against you, so only do good. 2, you must prioritize your health and fitness. If you do not have a strong tabernacle to house your spirit, your emotions, and your mental health, you will struggle to overcome the attacks that surely will come. Number 3, you must
Nick Shirley?
Trust in God with all your heart. There will be hard times ahead in this movement. If you do not have faith, you will not endure. Number 4, you must be willing to sacrifice everything. Your life may even be taken. Personally, I'm all in. I am currently running for mayor in the city of Eagle Mountain, Utah, where I reside. My primary election is taking place soon. If I fail 4 years, I will run for mayor again. I am calling on patriots and freedom fighters everywhere to join this movement. You are called. It's up to you what you do to be chosen. I intend to preserve for my children what my parents' generation has failed to preserve for me. In the future.
Yeah, so he goes on this rant, but, and then you can see, he's putting on like he's some type of spiritual freedom fighter, which is something they can use against the prophets as well, as if we're, carnal, with a spiritual, okay, twist to it, you see? But yeah, this is just the spirit that's going out, just seeds of division, calls, for, uprising and to overthrow the government, then the nigga want to run for mayor, you see? And it's just, a continuation of the American madhouse, man. Now let's go here. I just want to play that, this nigga finished, man. Okay. This is so let's go here. The elder brother should quiet down here in GMS Mississippi count put up, because this was happening in Indiana. They dealing with the power outages, due to storms. Okay, and it's going on a week, that they've been out, with power, so things are starting to get hectic up there. So let's play a little bit of this, man, and it's just a prelude, to the civil unrest, man, because when these things happen on the mass scales, which we know one of the plagues of Egypt was that the Lord, the plague of darkness, man. Okay, and we know what that will look like here, a grid outage. Okay, so let's play a little bit of this.
This is how dark it is in Gary, Indiana, right? This is how dark it is. This is a fucking residential street. That's crazy. And it's like that for miles. It's like that in every fucking direction. Everywhere you look is like that. Except for the small areas that have power. Everywhere you look, it's pitch black fucking dark. That's crazy.
Hundreds of thousands of people in Northwest Indiana still cannot turn on their AC or their lights today. I want to show you that outage map from NIPSCO. At least 270,000 households are still in the dark. These outages are sending customers to any grocery store or gas station they can find that's open. Our Sarah Muckey is live in Highland, where the long lines are causing tensions to rise. Understandably, Sarah, what are you seeing?
Yeah, Marie, well, I want you to take a look for yourself. This is the Meyer gas station in Highland. The line behind us snakes through the parking lot in several directions and then twists and winds all the way back to the main road. Some customers that we spoke to have spent hours in this line, so you can imagine things are tense when some people try to cut that wait.
Today we were everything open.
These Munster residents drove 10 minutes, but waited 2 hours to buy gas for their home generator, a wait that some say is not worth it.
It's not worth sitting in line for 4 hours and then having pedestrians yell and scream in your face over getting some gas. It's not that big of a deal.
The line's so long that tempers accelerated quickly. Some drivers getting out of their cars to confront people they suspected of cutting in line. Others laying on the horn. These long lines playing out at other locations with gas, like this station in Maryville, where drivers could watch as power crews hit the road from the nearby NIPSCO headquarters.
We prepare for these storms, and we were prepared to respond to the storm. That includes staffing.
NIPSCO staff tell us this is the biggest storm damage in company history. At their peak, 300,000 customers were without power. That is more than 60% of the people they serve. Now they've called in crews, though there is no timeline yet on when everyone's power will be back on.
We also have resources on hand. 1,200 contractors from various states across the country have arrived to help restore Northwest Indiana.
So the customers that we spoke to in this line said that they are not worried about the gas station running out of gas. They have seen refill trucks come through here, but at the same time, they have also seen some drivers stranded when their cars didn't make it all the way to the gas pump. From Highland, Sarah Muckey, CBS News, Chicago.
Yeah, pulling up there, running on fumes, I'm sure. Sarah, thank you.
I have to say something because what's happening right now in Northwest Indiana is so diabolical. Northwest Indiana has been without power for 7 days. If you don't know how Northwest Indiana works, they only have one power company. It's called NIPSCO. NIPSCO moves however the fuck NIPSCO wants to move. There are 3 cities that are in Northwest Indiana that are predominantly Black and Latino, and the way that they are doing this, people, it's so wrong. They put up this list and timeline of when they're going to have power restored for all of these white cities. But there's no Hammond, there's no East Chicago, there's no Gary, Indiana, which is predominantly a Black city. Now, all of these neighborhoods have been without power for 7 days. I'm from this area and they are being robbed. There are people that are trying to break into other people's house to steal their generators. They don't have any food.
And it get to the point to where when are you gonna stop being surprised, okay, about how these devils, do you as a people, okay? Are you still surprised that, all right, Jake don't get a fair shake? Okay, that these Edomites gonna look out for each other. Okay, that you're the forgottens. You see, when are you gonna stop being surprised about that? Okay, they get on here and do these rants, like it's some type of big surprise. They show you every single day. They hanging niggas again, man. Okay, but guess what? You tribe still look to, all right, this government to be fair. You still look to Esau to do right by you, man, instead of returning to your power. Okay, you still look for Esau to do you right. Like this event, I know he gonna do us right in this event, man. I know in this crisis he gonna do right by us. No, it's only gonna get worse, man. It's gonna get way worse. Okay, because the Lord really ain't unleashed his devil yet on the tribes, man. Okay, this is light work. You see, but Jake still act like they're surprised when Esau don't do them right in the crisis. Same thing you niggas saying in Katrina. Oh, they forgot. Yes. Okay. They they didn't forget about your ass. They just don't care. Okay? they don't care. They don't care about their own people like that. Okay? So let's play a little more.
Don't have any AC. And right now, across this country, we are facing a heat dome. There are elderly Black Americans who are struggling. And the rich white cities, yeah, they're all coming together and helping each other out, but they're leaving Gary, Hammond, and East Chicago to.
She said, and then what she said, they're all coming together to help each other out. Okay? And what are you niggas gonna do? Like, first off, you don't have a network, you don't have resources. Okay, and you niggas ain't gonna come together to do nothing. Okay.
Fend for themselves, and it's fucking wrong, especially because these are the communities that voted against the Republicans in that state.
And that's your problem. You voted. Okay, that's your goddamn problem. You still have some type of faith in this system, and it's good that the system is failing your simple ass, man. Okay, what's that in if a brother can get that in let's get that in Isaiah 30, I think 12. Okay, yeah, Isaiah 30 and 12. You see, and you simple niggas, you still trust in oppression. Okay, talking about what we voted. You know, nigga, you still talking about voting. That's your goddamn problem, man. Okay, and the loud nigga woman is a spokesman, okay, of the Black community. Okay. Yeah, let's get Isaiah 30 verses 12 and 13. You see? And you tribes are going to be way more disappointed than this, man. Okay, this is light work, what's happening in Indiana, you know, in this region, you know, northeast Indiana. Okay, so let's play a little more.
Who are leaving them high and dry, and that's probably why they're not getting any help.
My name's Aja, and I'm in a blackout, one of the worst ever for Indiana, and we're going on about a motherfucking week.
Nigga woman out of here, man. And that dog looks so depressed. You know? The dog looks so goddamn depressed, man. Yeah, the nigga woman out of here, man. You see?
So come get ready with me as I go in my house, load my fucking pew-pew because people are robbing people for generators, and put new batteries in my flashlight as we navigate the fucking apocalypse. This is my dog Carter, by the way. As you can see, little and not able to bite a fucking thing. All right, for starters, we got the Walmart special. I went and bought 3 lanterns that all take batteries, and they come with batteries. So I don't have to buy anymore, but I do have extra because I don't trust myself with candles, and it is pitch black dark. How dark, one might ask? Well, let me show you. This is how dark it is. And I'm in my car. Notable haul number 2. I have a battery set that I've already opened because I'm terrified to go in my house. But unfortunately, this is what we have to do because I no longer can afford to keep staying in hotels. And I also have no signal, so that's great. Now, before I go outside of my car and make sure my fucking doors are locked, because again, people are breaking into cars, houses, and stealing whatever they can get their fucking hands on, I'm going to make sure I have batteries in my flashlight. Now, one thing that I want to make abundantly clear. Yeah, I need to hurry up. One thing I want to make abundantly clear is the longer you stay your monkey ass in the car, the more chance you have of somebody running up and pistol whipping you. So you got to hurry the fuck up. Oh my God, I didn't put the batteries in, right? We've got action. So my next step is going to be grab everything I can, get in the fucking house, and then get the batteries in my lantern using, why is this flashing? Using just this and my little one here, and then I'm gonna call y'all back.
Yeah, nigga woman out of there, man. You know, so much I can listen to the nigga woman. But let's get some precepts, okay? With you, Jakes, once again, you know, in a crisis, you cry to, okay, your oppressor, okay? And your oppressor show you time and time again that he don't give a damn, okay? Meanwhile, the prophets on the forefront telling you that your power is begging you to come back, okay? And let's get there too, Zephaniah, all right? Let's get that in Zephaniah chapter 2. All right. Verses 1 through 3. Baba Shah. Yeah, Zephaniah 2, verses 1 through 3. Okay. So let's get this. This from the brother GMS out of 1 wide. Wherefore thus said the Holy One of Israel, because you despise his word and trust in oppression and perverseness and stay thereon. See how people depend on this society, to pamper them forever. They don't have a mind towards the Most High. They don't have a mind towards anything outside of Esau in this system, pampering them forever. Okay, and in any type of crisis, the first thing they complain about, oh, the black community, see, this is what the black people say. Yes, they do it every day. Okay, when they build the data centers in these urban areas, they put these diesel turbines right across the street from you niggas, man. Okay, they don't care. They never will, never have, they're not going to. All right, and a lot of you Israelites are going to learn the hard way. Okay, this is just the beginning. All right, you wait till the Lord unleash Esau on you niggas, man. Because the Lord is provoking Esau. The Lord is making Esau intentionally frustrated with this new world order so he can spaz out, man. Okay, and guess who's going to be the priority, okay, and the target, okay, of his wrath, man? You tribes. It says, therefore, this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking coming suddenly at an instant, man. It's going to be in an instant. Things are going to collapse at an instant, man. Things like this in Gary, because it's going to come a time where it's going to be nationwide blackouts, man, the whole region blackouts, and they're not going to come on for weeks. Okay, and it's going to get, purge atmosphere, anarchy, man. Okay, and the nigga woman in the car with her flashlight and this goddamn puppy, man, out of here. But the nigga woman, and the Lord got the nigga woman in the worst position ever, man. Okay, and that's left with her own decision making. Okay, which is going to put her in the worst predicament ever, man. Okay, and she just represents one of many. Okay, and the Lord is finna just get rid of them, man. It's just time to get rid of a whole chunk of Edom Israelites, man. 2/3. Okay, it's just time to get rid of a whole bunch of useless Israelites, man. Okay, and the nigga woman is at the top of the chopping block. All right, so let's go here to Zephaniah 2:1. Yep, this is the brother Yashima, tribe of Judah. It says, gather yourselves together. Yeah, gather together, O nation not desire. Yeah, these devils don't desire you. These people don't desire you, man. Okay, you're a mockery. You're a joke. Either you're entertaining these devils or you're maintaining their kingdom. Other than that, you have no use. They don't see no value in you, man. Okay? They already pushed the propaganda that you're less than human. Okay? That you're inferior. You're the problem of the planet Earth. Okay, so when these things happen and these crises, and then the fallout behind these certain crises is unfair. Jake don't get fair treatment. You niggas are still acting surprised, man. Okay, no, you're the nation that's not desired, but the Lord is telling you, look, gather yourselves together. And how are the tribes being gathered? Through this word? But it's a remnant that's being gathered through this word. Okay, 2/3, okay, are still looking at Esau, Edom, in hopes that this nigga one day that this nigga gonna do right by them, man. Not gonna happen. He's gonna do worse. Okay, and you wait till the Lord put the spirit on this nigga to spaz out, because right now it's a foolish spirit on Esau. Okay, to where he's stumbling, bumbling all over the place. Okay, but he's gonna get frustrated, and the Lord gonna put the spirit of a madman on this devil, sparing none. Okay. Zephaniah 2:2, it says, before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. Yeah, because it's going to be the Lord. He's going to put his anger on Esau towards you tribes, man. The anger that the Lord has towards you tribes, he's going to put it on Esau, and Esau going to wild out, man. That's where you're going to have Jacob's trouble. Okay? So you tribes still in this spirit of, going on these rants about how unfair the system is, and what y'all voted for, man, y'all still not getting it. Y'all missing the whole point. Okay, y'all missing the whole point. Okay, ignoring the prophets and still going, with this civil rights movement spirit. Okay, nah, man, y'all the Lord finna really turn this man up. So the Lord is telling Jake to be gathered before he give the decree to Esau to wild out, man. Okay, on you tribes. And the Lord gonna put his anger on Esau to go crazy on you tribes, man. Okay, because you refuse to repent during this grace period, man. Verse 3 says, seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger, man. And the Lord put the spirit on the remnant to humble down, to this word, man, to submit to Yahweh Shema Shah. Okay, understanding, the judgment that's to come. Okay, should speak about before judgment, examine ourselves. And the Lord put the spirit on the elect to humble down to this word, man. And tap back into our power. Okay, we don't have no expectations for Esau to do right by us, man. We got a power that's above Esau, man. Our power controls Esau. Okay, so you Jake still looking for some type of sympathy and fair deal from Esau. Nah, man, you're gonna get what you're gonna get. Belt to ass, man. Continue. Okay, and it's just gonna get worse. As the devil, is becomes more angry. Okay, going into the end of this thing, man. So yeah, let's go here. This second Ezra 16:18 is the brother. All right, Bala, GMS, Virgin Island, Straight Gate. It said the beginning of sorrows and great mourning, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand up in fear, the beginning of evils, and what shall I do? And we in the beginning phases, all right, when these evils shall come. And we're in the beginning phases of great judgment, man. This is just the beginning. It's a prelude. The war is the prelude to what we're seeing now, the prelude to World War III. And these little events that we're seeing is the prelude to civil unrest. Okay, so we're in the prelude to everything that the scripture spoke about concerning the end, the time of tribulation. Second Ezra 16:19, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a minute. But it says, but for all these things, they should not turn away from their wickedness. Yeah, because you see, nor be always mindful of the scourges, because you see now, all right, all they can do is complain. There's no turning to a higher power. Just complaining, talking about what they got. You see, you gotta have your flashlights. You gotta have this and you gotta do that. You see, no one's considering amongst our people. Not many of our people are considering repent, turn to our power, trust in Yahweh by Shema Shai. No, they're still talking about, all right, these dumbass thoughts and ideas and these rants and unfair, and I got my flashlight and I'm in the car and I'm gonna load up the pew pew, and that's none of this that's gonna mean anything when the Lord's anger, okay, get really active towards Jacob, man. Okay, nah, man, the Lord requires his people to repent, and there's a remnant, that has come back in these last days, and we can end it on that. If brother want to get that matter of fact, I got something pulled up here. Let's get this in the book of Psalms 124. So you go to the book of Psalms chapter 124. Because the only way to get through these times is through our power, Yahweh by Shema Shai. Okay? That's the only way to get through what's going to happen in the earth. Because see, we're calling for protection from the one who's bringing everything. Okay, Esau is just a tool within all right, the Lord's agenda. Okay, but no, we're crying out to the power that's bringing the tribulation, that's behind the tribulation, and that same power is going to bring mercy, man. Okay, for a remnant of his people. Psalms 124:1 says, if it had not been the Lord who was on our side, now may Israel say. If it had not been for the Lord who was on our side when men rose up against us, man, because the devil finna raise up. Okay? And so let's say this is just a prelude, man. And things are gonna get more and more intense. Okay? They're gonna get more violent, it's gonna get more hectic and chaotic. All right, it says they had swallowed us up quick when their wrath was kindled against us. Then the waters had overwhelmed us. The stream had gone over our soul, and a lot of our people are going to get overwhelmed by what the devil is going to bring. Because Esau going to come with everything, man, because he has everything to lose. He's feeling this slipping away, man. This opportunity to slip away, man, which is going to cause him to be impulsive, okay, and violent, man. Okay, it says then the proud waters had gone over our soul, which is that's Esau. He represents he's the proud waters. Waters goes into people. It said, "Blessed be the Lord who have not given us as prey to their teeth. Our soul is escaped as a bird out of the snare of the fowlers. The snare is broken and we are escaped because the Lord going to break this whole system." And says we're going to be like those birds. How do birds escape? Well, they fly away. And those chariots, and the scriptures say, how the Lord, as birds flying, how the Lord is going to fly and preserve Jerusalem, which is speaking of the elect, man. So those chariots, man, and how's the snare going to be broken, which is this whole system, the nukes and the fire from the chariot, man. All the works therein shall be dissolved, man. Okay, verse 8, it says, our help is in the name of the Lord, Yahweh Shema Shai, who made heaven and earth. Okay, so we know where our help comes from, man. All right, you gotta be going these rants about the injustices of Esau. Y'all niggas ain't tired of saying that yet. Okay, the injustices, the black and Latino community. Okay, nigga, you crying to the nigga that's doing the injustice. Okay, he don't care. All right, so yeah, we'll leave it there. All right, Lord will, you brothers and if you sisters edify once again, we give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushua, Bahashem, Rakakadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples towards younger brothers. And peace and blessing, salutation, and hopefully, Shalom.